Okay, you are all set.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October 21st meeting of the Village of New Paltz Planning Board. Tonight we have some administrative business followed by application reviews and visions. Begin with let's look at the October 7th meeting minutes. Are there any changes? Choose those? Nope. All right. In that case, could I get a motion to approve the October 7th meeting? So moved. Second, all in favor? Aye. Next, do we have any updates from our village board, also county planning board?
Just a very quick thing, the people have been reviewing the code adjustments to our. Well, Mike Baden's been working on some diligence, actually. I remember being in chairs about 10 years ago and someone questioning some of the entries into that code, and this is a great opportunity to help answer some questions you might have. And make comment. Appreciate you. That's not it for me. Any questions?
I think it's a good point, but I just want to own the fact Mike had said that we were gonna, but I think the overview session we had last time was really helpful, just to put it all in context.
Yeah.
But I think if we're now in the position where we're being asked to comment on the content in some detail, I'm gonna need another 2 weeks span to talk now. I'd like to have the opportunity.
And actually, you'll have a month because our November 4th meeting is canceled. So
Maybe we chunk it and like say this through this gets read by this date and then this through this, maybe we can do 2 chunks.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right, really super important, but I also want to make sure.
unless there's direct questions tonight, I was going to suggest exactly that. So
It's super important. One of the first things I do. Really? That helped a little bit. Nonsense. Some of your really.
thanks, Bill.
Is there any external deadline on it?
No.
The state say we have to.
No, this is all village board driven. When they hired me last year, one of the things they spoke with me at the interview session was that they wanted to update the code, and I spent about a year putting that together, working whenever I had some time here and there. And so they're looking at it at the same time. We don't have an actual referral to you guys yet. And based on the time frame of where we're going, we had hoped originally to maybe get it done by the end of this year. I don't think that that's going to happen at this point. So there is no time frame deadline. It's more just to get feedback from you guys throughout the process, so we don't sort of throw it all at you in one bite and say, okay, now you have 30 days to comment.
And I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate that I'm retired. Most of the people is not. So in deference to all of their schedules, I think we should take our time with it.
Absolutely.
Murray, absolutely right. It's not every day you get to do this. In the municipality, have to look at the code, it's big drive, how much. Yeah. Let's give people the time to do it.
No, that's the plan. They're taking longer, which makes everything else take longer, but that's all fine. So
Thank you.
Moving on then, Rachel Agata was our environmental policy board liaison, is not here tonight, but she said there were no updates from the DPV. Are there any other updates from our?
just a sort of a general update to both the board and to the public who might be watching. We are in need of a zoning board member. Next year, we will be in need of a planning board member. And we have the potential to have 2 alternates for each board. Right now, we have one on the ZBA. Oh, actually, we have two, but one is not going to renew at the end of the year. And we have no alternates on the planning board. So if anybody is interested, reach out to me. If you know of anybody who might be interested. That's really all I have tonight. Oh, and just my normal reminder of please make sure you get your 4 hours of training by the end of December. Some of you have it already, some of you are close. So if you're not sure, let me know.
Were there any bids from the town?
I did not get the opportunity to look, sorry. Oh,
Next-
actually, one quick update. So the mayor reached out to me. He had done a walking tour of the village, but it strayed into the town with a person who utilizes a wheelchair. And he reached out to me about the curb by the Burger King new Taco Bell area. And I researched their approval. And the good news is that where the Taco Bell Burger King is in their new site plan is upgrades to ADA compliant curbing. But the mayor is really emphasizing that that's something, and I'm going to take a look in the code and make sure we've addressed it appropriately as well. But it's something he just wants, he's really prioritizing based on this one person who came to him and said, I have trouble getting around the village, and very, very important. So just bringing it to everybody's attention. But if you hear of any questions, that area apparently right now is not good at all and will be, according to the site plan, will be brought up to compliance. So.
I was wondering if you also wanted to talk about our new village control.
Yeah, gentlemen, I'm going to let him introduce himself from Collier Engineering and Design. They will be the new consultants that the village will be utilizing in addition to Brenier Larios, who we used, I think, for several decades. They will be shifting primarily to water and sewer because with all the grants and things and the upgrades that have been going on, that is a almost full-time job right there. So we put out an RFP and held interviews, and the village board has contracted with Colliers, and they will become our consultant for the planning board. So
Nice to meet everybody. My name is Ken DiGennaro from Colliers Engineering. I'll be the primary point of contact. But yeah, I've been practicing engineering for 30 years now in New Jersey, primarily New York. Sat on your side of the board as a consultant for planning boards and done some private home development at the same time. So I think I have both mindsets, when we do a review. But we are definitely excited to be here and happy to help out. And there's always a learning curve, of course, but we have a lot of good support staff to help us through. And it's a great situation to walk into with an engineer that has so much historic institution for the village. So it would be good to work with them as well. Usually that's not, it's different circumstances that we kind of landed in a new town. So this is really, we're looking forward to it. It's a lot of good things. And when we do our reports, please, if there's anything I can do with the reports, style and preferences or anything, just let us know. We have really thick skin. I know I do. In order, I've learned through that to have that thick skin, but we want to obviously do our job engineering wise, but we want to help you do the best job you can as planning board members as well. So by all means, we'll get there at some point, but yeah, just feedback is always receiving bad feedback, for improvement, it's important, and I won't be offended. So we're looking forward to it. Thanks.
Yes, sure.
In addition to the civil engineering, tasks, does Colliers have, traffic engineers, landscape engineers?
You do, it's, full service from, so we have traffic, my background in special vehicle drainage and flooding. But we have people for that, construction inspection, landscape architects, environmental scientists, contaminated sites. We have an architecture department as well, where the big ones, geotech, survey. We have all of those. If there's ever any special applications that require those extra reviews, we can provide that as well.
Mike, do you know if that's the intent of the village?
So the current the village board has left it primarily to myself and the board of how we want to do it. For the short term, I think we're still going to continue using the environmental consultant we've been using. We don't use them that often, only on the extremely large projects. I would like to shift any of the traffic consulting over, and certainly we can utilize their services. We have a design review board, which is synonymous with our Historic Preservation Commission, and they review a lot of projects for architectural, but certainly, any input you guys can give on projects is going to be really helpful. So our goal is to use them as much as we can on a one-stop shopping while still respecting the relationships we've had in the past as well. So,
And I can certainly appreciate that, having gone through it in my professional career. To me, it was always beneficial to have the village engineer handle the engineering work. Not that you end up with turf battles or professional arguments, but it just makes it easier for everybody if the traffic question comes up, or the environmental question comes up, or the landscape question comes up. You got one person to turn to who can, and I understand it takes a while to transition. I understand that. It could take a year, maybe more, but we don't have a lot of big projects in front of us right now that we're in the middle of. Right. So now's an easier time of transition, and using one pretty good sized firm. I've heard of Colliers in New Jersey. I think it would be beneficial to all of us to use their expertise in anything.
We're happy to provide that when requested, but of course, we defer your discretion, and I'm an engineer, not a salesman. So if you have, consultants that you enjoy working with, by all means, keep going. We're just here to help.
and Ken works out of the New Windsor office, so relatively close by locality. So yeah, just wanted to do a quick introduction because the contracts got sort of officially signed in the last few weeks. So
Great.
Thank you. Right.
thanks for coming tonight. You're welcome to stick around if you want, whatever is comfortable.
I'll stick with it for a bit.
No, don't get the meter running.
Okay, next up, we have our public comment section. Is there anyone here who'd like to make a general comment on board business? Is there anyone online that is here for public comment?
No, we just have the one applicant online.
In that case, move on to a further application review. We have PD 2518, 12 Orchard Lane.
He's online.
Great, thank you. So did we get an updated?
We did. I printed it, and it's also in the Munical app.
Okay. So I think that was the only outstanding.
Oh, I apologize. I did not print it, but it's in the Munical app.
We have specific conditions, that the dimension should be added to the plan, so that's already been done.
Yeah, I did print one copy, but it is in the file.
Okay. Great, so I think if that's one, that's one, we can move that, got the conditions. Did you get a chance to review the, resolution of approval? Kathy?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I was just wondering if you, had reviewed the resolution of approval already?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay, and there were no questions, that you had about that one?
No?
In that case, we can, let's go through the specific conditions quickly. We are removing number 1 about adding the dimensions. And number 2, applicant must receive Department of Public Works approval for the expanded curb cut. No other questions from the board. I'd like to get a motion to approve the site plan for 12 Orchard Lane. No move. Second. And could we have a roll call vote?
Sure. Nikki? Rich?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Zach? Okay,
That is all done, and we'll have that signed to you soon.
you'll get a copy of that probably by the end of the week or early next week. So,
Okay, thank you all very much.
and please, if you're still considering becoming a member, let me know.
Well, I don't know if you want me to speak to that right now, but
No,
briefly,
that's okay. That's
okay,
okay.
I
just
won't.
wanted to put the bug in your ear again.
Okay. All right, thanks a lot.
Next, could we have PD 25, 14, 44, and 46 Church Street? Well. Other outstanding issues, did you have a chance to review the resolution of approval?
I did, yeah.
And no questions on it?
I did have one question on regards to merging the two lots together. How is that done? And when?
The approval is, well, it's actually just a certification that this board makes. The code was changed recently so that it doesn't require a full review if you're combining lots. It's just a certification. So that certification is included in the certification. So all you would need to do is provide the documents that the office.
Well, you will though need to get a survey done showing that those two lots are combined. You may or may not already have that. I can certainly speak to you offline about the details.
Perfect.
And we'll need a number of copies. It gets filed with the county clerk. There's a process, but you may or may not have some of it done already.
Perfect.
But you don't have to come back to this board. Yeah,
I figured I had to.
yeah. Yeah, there's a process involved and you'll have to do some work with, you have to prove that the taxes have been paid on both parcels and there's a number of boxes to check.
I'll stop in.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we can talk through it.
Well, before we vote on the resolution, there's one other piece of board business that we need to take care of, specifically the Ulster County Planning Board required modification. The board agreed that this project did not require the charging station, so I'd like to get a motion to approve the resolution that was prepared that states that the planning board hereby overrides the UCPB required modification only to the extent that it requires EV charging stations.
Excuse me.
All in favor?
Aye.
And yes, then moving on to the
Okay, and that, yeah, that does, because we need to have a super majority, but we have 4 yes votes, so we're good on that. Yeah,
Um. Yes, so there are a number of specific conditions that I'll just go through quickly. Prior to signing the plans, flat restriction note can be added to the effect of the improvement parcel will not be considered a separate building lot.
There's that, the principle comes straight out of the code for the lot improvement. So I think that'll be part of what maintains this.
Mhm.
Resolutions on.
they'll just be map notations.
And so which ones start?
So number three, so.
Number three is that, prior to signing the plan, the applicant shall deposit the required cash payment with land regulation with the village clerk. Number four, land bank parking. This application includes 4 land bank parking spaces and they're shown on the plan, but will only be built if they're needed in the future. And there's some process for determining if they will be needed. Number 5, marked pedestrian pathway along the driveway must be cut clear to the pedestrians and is part of the required width for fire access. No parking signs shall be installed on both sides of the driveway. Number 6, all existing and proposed landscaping shall be maintained in vibrant condition in perpetuity. And number 7, all existing and proposed fences shall be maintained in good repair. So if the board does not have any questions about those conditions, let's get a motion to approve the site plan lot improvement for 4446 Church Street. So,
Second.
do we have a roll call for this? Well,
Sure, Nikki,
Aye.
Rich,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Zach.
done.
Thank you very much.
Yes, stop by or give me a call tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, you have 2 public hearings, so. Well, yeah, 2 public hearings, for PB 2522 and 2523. I get a motion to open the public hearing for, these 2 applications.
Second.
All in favor? Is there anyone here tonight that would like to make comments on PB 2522 or 2523? Either 42 and 44 and that was opposed.
Is that, Prospect and
Yes.
Yes,
the voice, that's the voice?
Yep.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, I, that's my backyard. I'd just like to know, number one, how many trees are gonna be cut there? Number 2, what's it gonna look? Now, I don't think I really have a problem with what it's gonna look like because Floyd built 2 houses on my mother-in-law's property and everything. But I'm just, I'm just curious, is this gonna be clear cut or what's gonna happen?
So those questions will be answered in our application review, which we're coming to next. Yeah, we have site plans that you can look at and discuss.
I'd like to see that.
I have a question about that also.
Would you like to make a public comment on this project? Or,
Well, I live across the street.
okay,
I just wanted to know because that street gets flooded a lot. And when they're gonna put in the sidewalks, it gets very narrow, starting from John Street down to the boys. The street narrows down. So, they're gonna put 4 houses that were of the driveways. And what about storm runoff? Because right now, you have a nice corner lot with ground, groundwater goes into the ground. With 4 houses over there and driveways, I can't imagine the flooding unless you guys put another drain, like a stormwater runoff over there. Right at the bottom of the property.
Yep, we will be discussing drainage and stormwater.
Okay.
Application with you as well.
Excuse me, could I get both of your names just for the,
Yeah, Dave Caccamo, CACCAMO, 27 Grove Street,
okay, thank you.
been in this town for 54 years. And I like to know what's going on in my backyard.
Mark Axman,
Mark Axman.
AX man,
Okay, thank you very much.
number 37 possible.
Are there any other comments on the Sue applications? Anyone online?
There's nobody online.
In that case, I'd like to get a motion to close the public hearing for PB 2522 and 2522.
So,
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Next, could we have PB 2522, 42, W 5 come up? Um,
Zach, if you need me to share any documents online, I have the file open as well, so.
okay, yeah, maybe if you have the site plan available there.
Okay, is there one lot or the other that you're,
Either one.
Okay. okay,
So,
Uh,
yeah,
Give an update.
just give an update on the new items.
Sure. So there was some, the tree clearing was added to the map or to the two site plans. Essentially showing what we're gonna keep in the back, which is on the south side of the lots. Due to the grading that was required for the site drainage, most of the contours are going to be changing for the front 2/3 of the property, so, to make up for the tree clearing there, we, shown street trees along the north side of the lot, as well as one, shared in the middle, showed there would be additional landscaping once the home is moved into the houses. I know the village likes to have street trees, based on the road. I had mentioned, Bradford pears, Rachel cracking, she stated that they invasive, so, change that to minnows for the street trees. And then, I also, submitted exterior lighting that's gonna be on exterior of the houses. So that was shown. And there was, the referral to Dennis Larios, he wrote a letter for both projects, but essentially the same letters. And that, addressed for a few additional items. Yeah, it's the drawings, the project. So we added the showing leaf leaders leading to the rain gardens, as well as the splash box at the bottom of the leader. Sheet drainage between the driveway and the rain garden. To allow for the drainage from up the driveway. So that should be.
Um. Just for the audience and to remind the board, are those all the stormwater management features, or can you list the stormwater management features for this two?
Sure, so for this project, all four lots kind of work on the same drainage, plan. So what we had done is we diverted, I believe it was 55% of the stormwater went towards the south and 45% originally went towards Henry Boyce. We modified that, so it was like 30%, 35% was going towards the south, and the majority, 65% was going towards Henry Boyce. Because the concerns were raised about flooding, so we improved that post-development. We also added the rain gardens for each lot.
So back to the question about that, sure. It sounds like, and again, always do the, I'm an engineer, but there's one here. It sounds like most of what we've heard are concerns around flow to the west.
Yes.
Because of the result that happens on Prospect during storm.
Right.
So you described north and south direction. Does that mean it precludes anything from flowing west?
No, so it all flows west, but it's split. So the property is split kind of originally, now it's split down the middle. So everything flows towards the west, but 55% goes to the south on Prospect Street, 45% goes towards Henry Boyce. That's pre-development, post-development, we changed the contour so that 30 or 35% goes towards Prospect Street in that area of flooding, which is west, but it's more south on the street. So it was backing up. There is a couple culverts there in the back, so for the 3 mostly, I think, but it does back up. So post development, there's less going that direction, more going to the Henry Boyce entries. So that was addressed during subdivision process, and is still being applied. Nothing's changed with that. It's just the site plans were showing specifics for the houses and other driveways.
And the slip is pretty extensive, but its calculations take into account the potential for what you described as debris and clogging happening in the area on Prospect. So in other words, if that's an inherent problem, you could have 5% going, it might still flood. Is that something that we're able to address in the context of the stormwater plan?
I've seen it flood a few times, so every time it rains heavy, I make a point of going there. I haven't seen it flooded recently. And I think maybe because it's top of mind for DPW to make sure they are clean.
Is there a property owner responsibility or of making sure those are cleared, or it's just really DPW responsibility?
No, the storm drains, being that they're on the village town's property, are DPW.
They don't come out all the time. I clear out the one. I clear out 2 of them on Prospect Street, and I clear out the one behind my house, which is God, what's his name? Matt Eisler's place. Thank you.
Well, you may not get at least flooding now because the entire property is covered with trees.
Okay,
What's gonna happen when you cut down
I'm sorry to
those
interrupt,
trees?
but we're discussing that right now, and if you'd like to make a public comment, we have that period in the beginning of the meeting. Thank you.
I think that you were about to talk about the rain gardens, though, right? And those, the overflows all go to the Henry W.
Right. So because of the way we changed the grades, everything flows towards the north. The additional stormwater due to development is picked up through the rain gardens that we put on. For these lots, they're both on here, the Boyce. And the overflows go to the catch basin on the corner of Henry Boyce and Prospect Street.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Does anybody know who's gonna be responsible for maintaining that catch basin on the corner of Dubois and Prospect? Street?
Maintaining the catch
Maintaining.
basin?
Yeah.
That is either the village or the town, depending on. I don't know which one has responsibility for it, but it's the government's responsibility. So,
Well,
Yeah.
therein lies the problem. I believe that catch basin is gonna attract a lot of water. And somebody needs to be responsible for clearing the leaves on it and clearing the debris on it. And it can't be either the city or either the village or the town. It's gotta be one or the other.
If it's south, it's the village.
no, the only reason I'm saying that is I don't know whose jurisdiction it is, but it's one or the other. It's not both. I just don't know the answer to your question, so I'm reluctant to give an answer without knowing. So, Yeah.
The neighbors have to live with the flooding, and when it happens, they need to know who to call.
right. It depends on who's,
I-
yeah,
I know that,
it's,
you know that.
yeah.
They don't know.
Oh, they tell us to call the police and then the police get in touch with DPW.
And that's fine. And, right.
Are there any other questions from the board regarding stormwater?
The trees that you're removing have been marked. I forget where we landed, were you
Yeah,
gonna mark the
we put-
ones you were taking out or mark the ones you're keeping?
I put stakes along over the edge of the areas that shown in the back of the lots. We left about from behind the house, we left about half the property for a backyard, and then the other half of the back is in the same wood. You can see that right here.
Do you want another plan up?
So we, yeah, this is an area that we're changing the contours. So, I do feel these lots, because they're narrow, they do need some road back.
And the stormwater plan takes into account the impact of reducing trees and the impervious surface of the home.
Yeah, so since the subdivision approval, the footprints have actually been reduced than what we showed originally, what was basic calculations on, but we kept everything the same, but drainage calculations have been based on what's gonna be impervious. Just, not making light of the fact that trees have to come down, but it will be landscape, there will be, some trees going back in, it won't be impervious, it won't be big. That's shown on here, and that has been calculated.
I mean, is there any possibility of, instead of clear cutting the backyard areas behind the house, if they may leave it trees out, to just leave some of the largest, just for sure?
I'd be more than happy to leave with members of the board to show, what's there. There are some very old oaks there that I would take down only because they're gonna fall on the neighborhood yards. In that zone, but
What do you mean, fall because of the boundary or fall because they are dead?
they're dying and they're moving towards south. And we're figuring to do those now while we're back in there, instead of trying to move after the fall. We have, the four other lots surrounding it. I feel we did a really good job keeping as many trees as possible, but back then we didn't address stormwater issues like we do now, so there wasn't this vast amount of regrading and rechanging slopes. So we weren't, anywhere we affect the grade, you can't really keep a tree because either we're adding or cutting and a tree can handle that. So
this is, I kind of feel like, the village side lots, it's hard to build a house without taking the trees down and go around the houses. And when we do clear, we do keep what we can, but again, because of this regrading we have to do, we divert the water in the direction that we went. I can't keep any trees where we raise a tree. It's, for the most part, keepers. And what I found is when we built these houses, we're going about 20 years now. We kept a lot of trees, but within the first 5 years, half of them had to come down because either the stress of us trying to work around them when we're building the house, fill them, or just everything, all the activity going on, and that we just, the stress of it, they didn't make it, and then it just becomes a part of them. Taking them. I know it's not something I'm looking forward to, especially there because it's a nice sort of office.
Yeah, I mean, do any of the other board members want to do a site visit? I know that Rachel expressed interest in going out there, but maybe we can coordinate something so we're not all there.
I put wooden stakes along that.
Oh, you need the backup.
Go there on Friday. Sure. I'll give you that one.
Thank you. There any other questions about the updated site plan? That includes the landscaping. Well. No, then. We also need to review the subdivision conditions.
Yeah, I just pulled a few of those because I wanted to make sure nothing slipped through the cracks between subdivision and site plan, so they might already be taken care of.
And so these are just specific items that will be included on the site or the subdivision plat.
Well, these were already included on the subdivision, these conditions were part of the subdivision approval. Should I just go through them? Or do
Yes,
you want
please.
to?
No, of course.
So the first one says that, a notation will be added indicating lots 1 and 2 have a reciprocal easement for the driveway. Are the driveway easements already filed?
The easements are not filed, but the note was added.
Okay,
Yeah, the note. Yeah.
so we need to make sure those easements are recorded. And then the next one is protecting the bike path, which was the subject of a lot of discussion here.
Yeah, and I believe that's through, maybe that's a separate condition, that was through a bond that we would have to,
Exactly. So that note was added to the subdivision plan, right? So we might want to just make that a condition also, the site plan approval.
I think the establishment of the bond would be the condition. Yeah, the notes were all added. I verified those.
Just so that we have I want to add in that the notes were added. I just wanted to make sure that it carried over to this review.
Can you see, Zach, I have a question about that, and well, not even sure of the responsibilities, but not only the new driveway that'll be cut through the bike path, but many of the others, there's no signage generally that indicates that there's a driveway crossing. And if you travel on the Empire State Trail in like Highland, in that area, some of those places where there's a crossing have an indication that there's a crossing to make people aware. And so do we know, is there any plan for that? Is there any responsibility of the homeowner to do that? Or is it really intended to just be left without that type of signage, and just to be at the bikers, risk?
Who owns that signage? Like, is it like a roadway sign?
Well, that's what I'm wondering,
In Highland, they were added by the municipality. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
But
So it's a question that I guess we would take to the village board. Maybe you could just make a message to the village. I know that the town took a lot of ownership of that, that's about that
Mhm.
project, but it's technically land on the village side of it.
correct.
So I don't know who exactly asked. This, the sign gives credit to the town, but, you know, I don't know. But I think that that's something we should really, at least advocate for. If we can't require a homeowner to do it, I think we should advocate for the village to take responsibility for some sort of reflective, subtle thing that says this is a driveway, you can't go 30 miles an hour down these stretches.
Yeah.
I imagine there's engineering specs for that.
Yeah.
And I will tell you from having sat on the Trails Advisory Committee for the county, there's a lot of conflicting court cases as to which has the right of way, the trail or the driveway. And every time you found an answer in one, you found a counter answer in another situation. So it's been debated and discussed at length.
Only advice to me, it's investment.
Correct.
I say, was there right away? Yes, maybe.
Depends on what stage you're in. I hate to say it that way, but yeah.
Sorry. Because if it's a sign, you're gonna be inundated with a lot of signs. for the
Yeah.
driveway. So certainly the white lines on each end of the driveway would be pretty clear.
Something
Yeah,
tracks.
something's crossing.
Well, whatever that is, thanks.
Yeah.
If I had to go, I would agree with the lines on the driveway. I think we can all agree they way overdid the signage on that little stretch road. There are way too many signs.
There's a lot of overdoing.
Not to pick on engineers, but they way overdid it.
Are there any other?
Yeah, just the third one is about the rain gardens, that we need to make sure the village gets an easement with the rain gardens.
Thank you.
Can I just respond to the sentiments on this? In the past, the village attorney gave me a kind of a boilerplate that they were already comfortable with. You have something that would say.
So I think, you know, at this time, there's not too much more for us to review. I would like to have a chance to do our site visits and discuss the results of those more, but this board think it's appropriate at this time to authorize the resolution of approval, just to have that ready for the next meeting, or should we wait until we one more meeting to discuss this more?
I would move to authorize preparation.
And just for clarification, is this for 25-22 only?
This would be applying to both 25-22 and 25-23.
Right.
So here.
The two lots that front.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, before you vote on this, has anybody looked into the shale ledge?
We're not voting on any final approval.
All right, okay, if there's something you have to look at is the shale ledge. And I know it's a shale ledge there because it's under my house.
We're aware of that.
Okay.
Okay, I agree with Terry, so at this time, I need a motion to authorize the preparation of a resolution approval for community 25-22 and 25-23.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we will,
Rich, there were two letters from Dennis, so it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just making sure I understood that.
And just a reminder, that'll be on the 18th of November. So you have a month, 4 weeks from today.
For Friday, but we could, we will already have staked. like,
Yeah.
will be lawn trees, so yes, we'll take a look at that. It's- I'm sure.
Well, I'd like to welcome to our next application, 2524 Lee Prospect Street. This is, just give us the introduction on the next one.
So I think two in the building.
Yes, yes.
So this is, this will be lot four. Subdivision map. This application is made up exactly the first one. Now this is for 40 Prospect Street. Again, lot four. Yeah, I guess all the same issues as the other two lots, we've kept.
Or do you have a paper copy? Because I never received one of this.
Do,
Yeah, if you can, I don't know if you can share it with the board or not, but
so.
So we're doing three, four, but it's not, it will not come to us.
Correct. Currently, the person interested in lot four wants to purchase lot three later. Others. There was concern about this being drawn out over time, so we're trying to just get it all done. Yeah. So again, lot four, we're using the same drainage, drainage calculations that we submitted originally from subdivision. The footprint of this house is a little wider, so instead of the rain garden being between the house and the side lot, we put it in the front corner, similar to how those others are. I did not mark the clearing for this one, but I can certainly go out and do this one now. Yeah, also.
And put it on the plan the same way with the way you line.
The way this was designed, the stormwater for lots 3 and 4 tied together, are you able to do just one lot?
Yeah, we'll have to. The easement's wide, but the actual disturbance from the pipe is just gonna be 61 for the machine.
And are you contemplating reversing the subdivision of those two lots and making it one lot?
No, I think they're looking to maybe have it for one of the in the future.
There are separate driveway for that? Yes, we have a separate driveway, the site plans and files are all available online for the public to review. I think it would be helpful to show any, like the other site plans to show any additional street trees or plants that we plan on adding here. Is there any consideration in terms of continuing this conversation about drainage, that the driveway wouldn't be paved? There's an aesthetic and obviously drainage benefit to that, or something we discussed with the buyer?
Yes, I will say, and Rachel brings this up about the subdivision we did on Millbrook Road. The one homeowner who agreed with the gravel, we completely regret was a grade issue, so I don't know if you even have that here.
No, it seems flat down there. You don't want stone rolling down the hill. It seems like a good flat, small driveway opportunity to do it. It's aesthetically much better and also, I would say that from that.
And I know I'm not in favor of gravel driveways, stone driveways. Because ultimately, some of that debris ends up in the street and it ends up in the drains. That's why I'm against it. But I did notice the other day, I was someplace and it was a driveway that it had kind of an elongated apron. So maybe from the sidewalk, a couple of feet up the driveway, it could be paved. And then beyond that could be some gravel. So that the gravel gets kicked off onto, a paved surface. Not ideal. But I'll be honest, I'd rather just see paved gravel. But that would be the forest. And so that done, and I said, well, they,
I know, maybe we don't want more, but the village stopped, treating gravel driveways as pervious because eventually they compact. Because people would say, well, it's a gravel driveway, doesn't count, that's coverage and all that. So there is some merit to that. I think that it eventually does compact to the point where it doesn't. But it certainly wouldn't. Okay, and maybe having the apron makes sense too.
Well, it's a small driveway.
Yeah.
I'm raising it as just to maximize.
Well, on the topic of drainage and stormwater, I think this lot should also be referred to the village engineer for review. So could I get a motion to refer this application to the village engineer?
Second.
All in favor?
I,
And just for the board, I'm going to refer that to Dennis Larios again, only because he did all the initial review on the subdivision. So it just makes sense to him to continue, but we will be getting you guys soon.
Just note to the board that it is maxed out at 30%. That's.
To Emily's point on, if there are any considerations of that joint, where you are between 3 and 4, because you're not being developed at the same time. Would that be something that does comment on?
We'd like to look at that, I'm sure.
Yeah, he can look at it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I guess if they're still planning to develop 3 possibly in the future, you might still want to put in, like, you might want to design it so it could easily be added, right, as opposed to just doing straight here to the. I'm not an engineer.
I would find it helpful information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the design here is not, this is the design we've had from day one with the overflow going to the corner. It does take into account there being a house there at some point. I can talk to the engineer about how we would change that, but I don't think.
Yeah, as long as it remains a separate lot, we should treat it as that someday it may have a home on it. Can always be sold, you never know, so. Excuse me.
Right, I was wondering if you guys change the approval, sorry.
Yeah. Sure, so just like the last one, we'll move it, we kind of consider the lot 4, so that with stormwater control for lot 3. And also, that you can in favor of the village for this stormwater. So, yeah, we can watch it around.
Okay, and so I think the last 2 items, from you tonight, be classifying this as stage 2 of the estimate sequence, so I get a motion to classify this as type 2 secret.
So.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I would also, get a motion to set the public hearing for the 25-24 for our next meeting.
November 18th.
So,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And if that's all, and if there are any other questions about the elevations or any of the documents that were submitted?
Floyd, you'll also do the lighting plan for that like you did on the previous one? Okay, thank you.
location. Details. Didn't identify any issues. Anything else? No, in that case, we will see you our next meeting in November.
Okay, technically, that's.
Next up, we have PB 2517 85 North Chestnut. Please come up.
And just for the board, in your packet is a copy of both the email and the design review board report. They turned it around quickly from last night's meeting, so. Mark, if you want to stop by anytime, I'm happy to show you any of the drawings.
Yeah, I will.
Okay,
You see me open and I'll.
Yep.
Thank you.
thank you.
Zach, I mean, that's good, just, I just said if there are any changes to the materials or anything.
Sure, so we met with, Tom and the board at the PRB.
Yeah.
And, they really like the single color here, they like the different texture. And no changes, they all voted and agreed that it was this, and they're happy with it. There's one suggestion or change, which we agreed upon, is that these roots here, these column roots, are gonna be metal, black metal, single steps. So that was the only material change. What's not noted here, it's not visible here, but is noted in architectural plans from even our original meeting here, is that these window casings are 3.5 inch and black, the same color. But this is not illustrated here, but it was on the architectural plans. So just that these blue steel and black seams. They asked us to check in with them regarding the posts. They made a recommend, this is just a render. So they look small, but we intended on doing larger posts. So they just made that recommendation, where we seek out their references that they mentioned during the meeting. They talked about this generic lighting that's a part of the render. We told them they already approved the lighting plan that our lighting engineer had put forth in 2021. That is still, this site plan hasn't changed, right? So they thought that was adequate, so that's fine. You are going to check in with them regarding the color of the light. Clear, orange. So we will check in with them regarding the light color, but the lighting plan was fine. So windows, roofing, it's the columns, entryways. On the landscape, and they wanted us to check in with them regarding the trees that we have here. So we'll check in with them regarding those three things. The pillars, the trees, and the lighting color. Tom had sent over in the revised letter. Just making it clear that the lighting was acceptable. And the informal meeting during construction of the lighting. The final choice of that color. Will be provided.
And what was your, I see they recommended a certain type of window with integrated J channels.
Yes.
That's
That's, yeah, definitely acceptable. That's more just a design
Right.
aspect in terms of like which windows we order. And there was a suggestion from, long time, development, still really, obviously, lots of requirements. So we're gonna take that recommendation. And it might already be listed in the architectural plans. That we didn't know, it said J channel, J channel. It's definitely a recommendation. And that we appreciate, it's, we didn't recognize it. We do see its value, in not having a lot of trim on it. So it basically tucks in the water chain. So it, and that's what we're going for.
Well, I'm in agreement with most of their comments. You know, if they feel the exterior colors are good, then that's okay with me. I think I guess I'm still feeling like a little variation or highlights would be good. Maybe instead of the columns all being uniform gray, having the columns being more like a natural wood tone to add another element of contrast would be something.
We're talking about making them more decorative.
Okay.
Columns.
Yeah.
To kind of change, maybe, so it's not a single color. So that, maybe molding, or they're talking about pillar tails, so that it like adds like an accent. And that might be, those might be black to kind of break up, the pillars from that color. And we also talked about maybe making the bottom, like a cement color almost, not like, almost like a clay color, just to break it up a little bit. To kind of match the stone, because this stone, we brought in a sample, but we were with the architect, but it's gray here, only here in the rendering, but it is earthy. It does have, and I would definitely say has more variety than what's displayed here. And that we've had that sample with us, it definitely had a more warm earth tone, bright color than what's here, which is very gray.
That sounds good to me. I mean, it's for any other comments in the HPC memo.
Well, but I do have a question about who's responsible for the landscaping plan. And I know this is a project that goes back a long time, but isn't there, I mean, I'm sure you submitted a landscape plan.
Yes,
And I suspect that landscape plan had detail of what was going to be planted.
that's correct.
So I'm not sure why the design review board would question.
They were, I think they were referencing what's here in terms of like the size of the tree. And not so much the tree, and again, this is a rendering. So the tree, the landscape plan that we originally submitted had the trees listed, the types of trees, the types of plantings we were going to have. And that hasn't changed. I think they were more concerned about how many you're gonna have. Their direct concern was how many are you gonna have in the front. They wanted, because they like what Zero Places and when they have a couple in the front. This clearly shows that there's a couple in the front. So they want to make sure we match what Zero Place has with theirs. Which the rendering shows there are several trees here in the front.
But are those trees on your original
Yes,
landscape plan?
they are.
So we did the landscape, I have a landscape architect, Langton Smith, and did the original plan. And there's a lot of planting issues, so I'm not sure I wouldn't have that mean, but to depict, there's probably a couple hundred plantings from the different types, to depict that. It's pretty difficult. So I'm not sure exactly that comment, but there's a lot of answers.
I'm just trying to convey to the applicant that, you know, you're bound by that landscape, not by the recommendations of
Yes,
another board.
that's,
You know what you're getting into when you build the project.
Yes.
That's all.
thank you.
It just seems to be a gray area, and gray areas are not good in construction.
No. We
Anyway,
we
no.
just stick to the landscape.
Right.
All right.
I think, so, I think that top left image, that top left rendering does a really good job showing the buildings as opposed to, you know, the view to the north, the other place. What's it?
Do you have a?
Nope, no.
Okay, well then, I guess. Want to move on to the resolution, if you have a chance to view the resolution approval that was.
Yes, most of it is DOT related and we send things to follow up with the county, just make sure they have to find anything for the. Obviously, we very not prove the trade. But we do need to follow up with the county. What they would want to get more, the glorious users. I think anything talk about how, you know, zero place. That, you know, and when most other construction projects, they usually get going and DOT kind of starts moving, ramping up. Something.
I mean, these conditions are all terms the same, there is no approval, so I mean.
Right, we took out the first few that were already addressed, the ones that needed to be added to the plan, so those are gone. And then the only thing that's new is at the end about the sign. The last condition just says that all we're approving is that one monument sign and then we're doing on the glass of the doors, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and the DRB mentioned that in their memo as well. They like the sign, and in fact, it's.
So we drafted this before we got the DRB, memo, so it just has a statement that the DRB approved it, which I think is an optimistic statement in here. If the board wants to add any conditions, about, you know, the details for the DRB, you could do that.
Which number is that?
Well, it's just in the procedural history, it says the DRB approved the design, but if you want.
I think, Emily, on 24, I'd like to see it added that it won't be internally illuminated.
Okay.
Because the DRB agreed that you agreed to it, but let's get it in the decision so it is memorialized.
The monument sign shown in the plans, which will not be internally illuminated.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, to your other question, Emily, if we look at the clarified version of the letter from the DRB, it's really, well, first of all, it concludes that it says this should not be considered an obstacle for approval. But it also kind of outlines this like good faith agreement to review lighting fixtures, landscaping choices, and column design. Now, again, to Terry's point, it's all in the approved plan. So that is what we're approving. But the only thing we could suggest is that we make some version of this final statement by the DRB a condition in the columns, the number of trees and where exactly they are. If you've agreed and they've asked for that to be some sort of collaborative process, then we can include that. It obligates you to it.
Sure. I mean, we're interested in working with them. Yeah, I know, they're also knowledge in that words. Okay.
This is a condition about no standing things. Accepted, and just started to how much, how many more details?
for the board too, when we actually get a review by the DRB, I attach this to the decision. So it stays with it when it gets filed. So just so you're aware. So this won't get lost, the information here, but Yeah. understood, understood. Right.
Well, I like what you were proposing, Richard, of having the condition just be that they, they will work with the board on those items that, you agree to, and so we don't have to, specify it exactly in this, resolution. And it sounds like, at least with the columns, you don't have a final idea of what that design is gonna be right now, so it doesn't make sense for us to try to hash that out, right here.
So we just say something like applicant, shall continue to work with the DRB on landscaping,
Yes.
lighting and column design.
The tree's part of the next.
Yeah, I think the lighting column design,
I think we should say lighting fixture.
lighting fixtures,
There's
yes.
lighting
Yes.
fixture.
Yeah.
It's here.
And trim color options, is that usable to you?
Yeah, that's fine. The trim color options, they really will like, put it up. If it doesn't look right, change it. I mean, that's what their suggestion was, but I mean, I mean, sure, yeah.
That's
I mean,
consultation, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so applicant shall continue to consult with DRB on lighting fixtures, trim color and column design.
Yeah.
That's not finding the,
but
their approval per se.
we're interested in working with them, so it's-
Landscaper too, or are we?
It's in here, so.
We have a landscaping plan with
I know.
the DRB, they haven't looked at.
Yeah. Not at this. but definitely-
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I only sent them the changed information. I didn't resend them everything.
Um. For that dealer, something about this. Sometimes go through all of these, that would take another half an hour, so. I mean, most of them look standard,
They all came from the last.
right, so part of the last approval.
We also removed on all of the heat, the outdoor heat pump. That was, we were removing most of those steps, maybe. There was a lot on the last plan, so that I think there's like 80%.
Okay, well, I think in that case, you're ready to vote, and so can I get a motion to approve the conditional site plan and special permit reapproval for 85 North Chestnut?
As amended tonight, if we can just add that. Yeah.
And do we have a roll call vote for this, please?
Sure. Nikki? Rich?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Okay. Emily, if you can just rewrite that and resend it to me, then if you can add that, it's great.
Welcome.
Well,
Thanks for making
do-
this.
Has anything changed on the site from what I have?
No.
Andy? Okay, I'll get with him then, because I need 3 paper copies.
Okay.
Full set.
Okay,
So I'll get with him on what I need. We'll get that all signed.
that's great. Thanks.
Last
Jim.
week,
It should be within a week. I'm sure.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
No problem.
Thanks.
No, no, see, hold on.
Yes, you just came up.
Paramount interesting. We've been serious compared to this one. We want to do yoga. There's the board is determining that, or that can determine this ancillary used to be exempt at a gym. So it's next. Questions?
So let's point up the documents here. See that we have a memo from our code officer, and with the parking calculations, and he also noted that accessory uses are permitted in the cellar of the building.
And for the board's clarification, this is a cellar, not a basement, because more than half the grade is below, more than half of the wall height is below grade. So there's a difference between cellar and basement, but this is a cellar because it's more than half of it is below grade. Yes. So accessory uses, this could not be a separate use in a cellar, but an accessory use to another use within the property is allowed. So much like the bank was using it as office space, in this case, the gym wants to do a yoga studio as part of the gym, and he's determined that it's allowed, and he's calculated what additional parking is needed, but Emily also in her memo points out to you that you have some discretion on the parking based on shared usage when there's many uses on the parcel.
So just so looking at the plan here, this area on the open area, that's where the actual yoga studio.
And the majority of the basement's unfinished.
Right.
It's only the small area which shows the kitchen and bathrooms, the open area, that's the only area. Is where the kitchens and like beautiful down. Sure.
Right, I guess my question is. The kitchen and bathrooms,
They've all been.
okay, so they're not,
The kitchen has been removed, the bathrooms, I've removed all the fixtures, so I removed all the fixtures out of the bathrooms. And I removed the kitchen.
okay, so this shows previous, it doesn't show existing. I guess that's my question is, so the big space, will it be expanded where we have a kitchen here and all that other stuff, or? is-
Well, it's, the kitchen is very small, it's like a little valley kitchen, we're gonna want space. So an actual wall with the bathrooms and the two, it's still on. So it's really just. Like this, if you come out of the women's bathroom and if you see there's a wall. Across the little hallway, that's when it's.
And so those bathrooms will still be usable and functional and part of,
They are planning on making, like, single stall and changing.
What is the ventilation like in this space? I would think that yoga.
Well, she's planning on doing hot yoga down there. And it has brand new HVAC in it on the roof. It's more benefit.
Is this use part of the gym as the same
It'll be part of it.
owners? Okay, because you want to make sure in the approval that it is tied to the gym.
Right.
Yeah.
Not sure. The gym, what we really found, a pre-sold, a lot of members, a pre-sold, and
I think they're like, we have our in, we'd like to give it a try. But there's other options for us as a gym, because their average facility is 8 hours. They don't. work 6. So I think the potential future use for them is good.
Um,
And any consideration would have to be under that premise that this is accessory use to the approved gym. It couldn't be used for any other use.
If the approval is for yoga at studio, and at some point they decide they want the extra space for the gym, do they have to then come back?
It would be up to the code enforcement officer to determine at that point if it's a change or not. He might view it as it's I don't want to guess. It would be up to the code enforcement officer though to decide what that means.
Is the yoga studio a separate use or is it?
No, it's an accessory use to the gym.
Like part of the gym, that's.
Correct.
Right, I guess my question really is, do we have to be approving something that is yoga specific?
Right.
Or is this a approval to allow the cellar, not basement, to be used as part of the gym or as an accessory to the gym? Is that a better way to look at this than rather than say yoga? Because it would be a lot of time to come back if really we're not changing it.
I'm gonna let you answer that one, Emily, because that's,
Be as specific as yoga.
yeah. Yeah, we presented it as it was told to us. So, yeah.
Fitness use or something. That makes sense to the board.
I mean,
Yeah.
Emily, this is a question. Could it say that any use determined to be accessory to the gym? Something along those lines? I mean, the code enforcement officer would have to determine whether it's accessory or not, but maybe that's too broad. I don't know.
Fitness use or something to that effect will work.
Okay.
Can I ask, can I explain the ADA requirement for the technically infeasible determination? Is that I've never seen it.
I don't know that off the top of my head.
So- Yeah, so we did discuss it briefly. It does meet the fire access because it has 2 points of ingress and egress. As far as ADA requirements, and I don't want to speak for Alex, but he was comfortable in that it's a pre-existing facility, that it's not required to update to standards. If it was being built new, it would be a different story. But because it's pre-existing, and again, it's areas that I do not totally know the answers
It
to.
looks like your engineer wrote a memo that says that a facility that is altered shall comply, this is the code, that shall comply with chapter 11 unless technically infeasible, then fine. And so your engineer decided that the alterations to comply is technically infeasible to make it accessible. But I didn't see anything from our team that says we accept it.
He did not yet, but ultimately that approval or not goes with the building permit and the C of O. It's, my opinion is it's not something that the planning board actually has to weigh in one way or the other, because
Well, if there was an elevator or a mechanized stairway, it would have to be a site. So we
yeah, except interior doesn't, that's building code. Site plan is only exterior. Yeah, but you're reviewing the use, whether it's allowed or not. Whether you're going to approve it or not whether it's allowed or not, but whether you're going to approve it or not. So, but the planning board doesn't have jurisdiction. You only have jurisdiction over zoning code, not building code, and ADA compliance is part of building code. So Alex has to make sure it complies, even if you approve it and it doesn't meet codes that Alex needs approved, then it doesn't happen. Understood, understood. And we'll try to find out that answer for you. But it's not something that you guys have to have a definite one way or the other answer. Alex didn't see that memo yet because it just came in this afternoon, so.
If you looked at it, because
Yeah.
I think it has to do with like how much renovation you're doing.
Right. The 1,200 square feet was arrived at because of the parking situation. But Mr. Joseph agreed that that was a reasonable amount of space, so.
Okay, well, let's move on to the question. Question in that. So. 1,200, get the memo back here, 1,200 square feet of additional fit space. We calculate out to one space for each 200 square feet, and we go with 6 parking spaces. What are you proposing for parking?
Well, I would, under the code, I would need those spaces to meet this, to rent. But I tell you, being down there for the last 9 months, remodeling, it's business. And Jim has signed up 400 members so far. And they haven't done it. So I'm a little concerned there about the parking here.
So the current approved site plan has 5 additional spaces above the minimum requirements. That's Alex's memo here. So,
And it says that the application to calculate the parking for the 1,200 square foot studio is retail, business, or service not specifically mentioned.
mhm.
But it would seem like a 1,200 square foot yoga studio would involve more than 6 people at any given time.
That's the code.
And it's so there's nothing more specific to a location doing this type of business.
Not currently under the code. There's no definition of a gymnasium, and so it's not called out in parking. And this is the only definition under the current code that it fits. So he has to go by that chart. But again, the planning board is given some leeway to look at when there's multiple uses on one parcel, how these interact with each other in terms of use and how much overlap there may or may not be.
So what is I mean, we all use that area today. There's municipal parking spots that are with charters, and then there's what it takes to go to the post office and laundry. What is your intention around signage to direct the people that are using your facility to your parking and not to the other, vice versa? Because I think that today that's a difficult place to park. Even without the 400 members.
There's street parking down there as well. And the post office hours obviously they're closed. But I like it challenging.
And is that part, so forgive me if I don't know this, because I'd have to refer back. Is the parking that one would consider to be for the post office on the other side, is that also your property?
No, our property is along the front of the post office.
Yeah.
But it's credit union, the new part, credit union, and all those spaces. There's about 35 spaces in there.
So you're suggesting that like your parking overflow strategy would be that people would park over by the post office?
No, majority, so the employees are gonna park across the street. There's the 24 parking spaces across the street. That's where the employees, and obviously now there's the gym and yoga, people like that, they would directly overflow parking for those.
Right. But those are all in this calculation. Across the street parking.
Yeah, across the street parking.
So
There was access. We were going to move 6 parking spaces. And now we're saying, leave them in instead of removing them, we'll leave them in to accommodate this.
So the landscaping plan that was supposed to happen across the street's no longer the plan because it's now gonna continue to be paved with parking?
Well, there's 6 parking spaces that I would need to rent the basement.
We won't need them if we open this 1,200 square feet. So if I remember correctly, the deliberation that this board had was that we agreed to allow for additional parking and reconfiguration of what was a small green space on the north side of Main Street with a concession that you were going to landscape the opposite side of Main Street and eliminate some parking to at least create some beautification there as opposed to net much more pavement. So if what I'm understanding now is that we're no longer going to have the benefit of that concession of landscaping across the street, that seems to me I want to make sure that everybody's aware that this was an integrated idea that's now being pulled back in order to accommodate this request.
Can I just get one clarification, because based on this provided and required calculation, there were 5 overflow spots, but we need 6.
Yes.
So even if that whole parking across the street was reconfigured, we're still -1.
No, no.
Okay,
That's, you have the other way around. We already have in this plan 5 extra spots. So with the additional 6 required, we're actually only down one space required.
right, that's what I'm saying, we're -1 because the requirement is 62 and the provided is
Yes.
61.
The
So
provided,
you, but that includes the 5 over.
What are the open?
I guess I'm confused.
The 6 spaces across the street are not spaces anymore. They've already been approved as green spaces. It hasn't been built yet. But they are no longer to be considered parking spaces
Okay,
because they've been approved as
So-
green space.
regardless, we're down 1. Okay, that's.
And is that clear to you as the applicant, that you're not proposing that you're taking back those spaces that were going to be landscaped?
Well, allow me to do that.
no, not necessarily. I mean, there are provisions in the code where we can say in the case of accommodation of uses, off-street parking guidelines shall consist with some spaces recommended for each individual non-residential use unless he demonstrated a staggered hours of use to the application. I mean, I think with the different uses of this lot, a lot of people coming to the gym are going after the credit union is closed. I think it's pretty clear that there's differences of uses pattern in areas. I think it certainly gives flexibility enough for one parking space. So my strong feeling is that we should not get rid of the green space across the street. We should keep that, and continue to just utilize the parking that's in the existing site plan.
It also reduces the yoga area to 1,000 square feet, and it only. I think it's what we fit.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's important to not rely on the other businesses parking as your overflow, because it's possible that at any time, I think they already do have signs that says this parking is for X and Y.
So, we wouldn't solve on this because
Well, you might have installed, but I'm saying the parking is not your property, that is for the parking and laundry and the rest of it. That should not be considered an option for how you might accommodate the overflow.
no, we don't. We're just trying to maximize the volume on our, what we have. And, we're fine to do up to 6 spaces, but it's busy. Just stating on the record that it is busy. And there are a lot of, I didn't realize that the pretty much 3,300 members. They're all over the goats here. I'm a credit community member, I never say what. So, you know, but I'm saying, if you have 3,300 members, I would stop that.
We have multiple branches.
Well, everybody goes to Highland. They all go to Highland. Is where they've been going. So again, I just found that out like today. A girl woman was saying, oh, 3,300 members. Well, oh,
Okay, we close at 5 p.m. It's like doing every weekday. I think most people go to the gym and going to be coming after work, or before work. So,
And the retail is the liquor store?
so Rich, are you concerned that this is going to put too much strain on the existing parking in the site plan? Do you think that it would be better to reduce the size of the yoga studio or?
the position I'm taking is that we're not going to eliminate green space across the way.
Okay, I agree, yeah.
That shouldn't be on the table. I am also thoughtful about the idea that what you're saying is true, which is that it's a busy place and people are using each other's parking down there, whether there's a sign that says not to or not. You know, if you go to the post office, you might park where you want, where your parking is, and go to yours, people might use the post office spots because maybe people are going to the post office spots. So I think there's going to be commingling there.
I get that a lot.
And we have I know,
Just like,
We're
the majority of the people, the post office does not know. So we park here to go there.
and we're
And
agreeing to that. That's my point about like, we're agreeing to that and we're considering waiving the one required spot. Now, it's only one spot, so it makes it feel a little petty. But I also don't know if 1,000 versus 1,200 feet is an adequate space for the use you're trying to create. So that would have to be for you to agree that makes it even. But I don't know if it's one spot difference. I think we're setting up kind of, we're at a tipping point here on this spot, and we maxed it out. And
Can I ask, what's the remedy if we get to a situation where there is no park, like if we build it, we waive this, there's just no parking, it's unmanageable, it's untenable. What is the remedy?
I mean, then we come back and look at the land or, look at removing green space.
Yeah, well,
I'm more concerned
Or-
with the impact rather than the remedy. The impact is that there is even more strain on street parking in that area, of which there are a lot of segments of that area that don't have street parking. Don't forget. It's mostly not street parking, actually. It's really just out here.
yeah, on the
impact
ones,
is that we further strain street parking. The impact is that other businesses are now impacted by this business's parking need because cars are going to park where they need to park to get to the gym. You're not going to drive to the gym and say, I'm not going to go because I can't find a spot. So people will put their car somewhere, Rock and Snow's lot and the post office lot and all those others. And so the impact is that it would create congestion, it would create conflict. And then the other impact, which is not our issue, is that the business owner might have, some challenges running their businesses they want to, because they would have complaints that people can't find parking. We talked about the new little coffee shop that we approved with a parking consideration of like time imbalances or time differences, if you remember the loaf approval, and it has a parking problem. We didn't get it right. Now it's not really our problem, it's the business's problem because they want, they want people to come, but it doesn't always work. And I'm also a fan of what Zach has held up, which is we don't want to pave the rest of our town either. But I just want to make sure that we're really aware that we're proposing to really max out what this lot is. There will be an impact.
If this helps the board, this is across the street, the approved site. Up there.
10 or 12 minutes. Which will take up most of it.
So I think what this board needs to decide is, given the parking that's available, does the, can we approve this use for the states? Right?
I would say yes, I think there's. And not, I don't think there's this extra space is going to generate enough new traffic that it will cause an issue. But I'm also open to making it smaller, so we don't have to use our power.
Oh, just so I'm clear. So right now I have 6 spaces.
Fine.
5, and that's coming from the green space that you removed.
No, we're not removing green space.
The green
No, no.
space is staying.
No, what I'm saying is when I remove these spaces over here.
You'll have 17 across the street. Oh,
Well, no, I don't, it doesn't matter what you originally had. You didn't originally have anything in the basement. So when the site plan was approved,
Right.
for the amount of space that was approved, you had the right amount of parking plus 5.
Right, but I thought that we land bank these.
We did not.
You never land banked them, no.
Well,
That was
it was
not-
all the resolution.
It's not, it was a site plan approval.
Look. I think you're gonna have a big parking problem down there.
Well, so if that's the case, then they shouldn't approve any more use in that.
Well, I don't know how, I don't know how that works. You know, if you have space, you get it, you can rent
It
it.
works that we don't approve.
Well, not for this use.
Mike, question.
Mhm.
It feels to me like what we're seeing in this calculation is that there are uses beyond retail business that need some more specific parking estimations, because a gym is probably a very different use than or parking demand than a hair salon.
agreed. Agreed.
Whatever else that use might be.
And it is,
Per square foot,
Yep.
the gyms can hold 100 people in amount of square footage that a Walgreens would never take on, you know?
agreed.
So, but this is the code, I get it. I guess what I'm suggesting is that
It's already in the new code.
the code tells us something different, and
The new code is they are parking guidelines, and the planning board has the ability to increase or decrease depending on the specific situation. Secondarily, an applicant can also request an increase or decrease, but has to bring a substantial proof to the planning board to back up that ask. So that's the current.
can the planning board ask for data? Like, there
Yes.
must be data that says what gym parking requires.
Yes.
If it's not in our code,
Yes.
doesn't mean it doesn't exist as information.
Agreed.
We could ask the engineer to make a recommendation on that.
Yeah.
Our traffic engineer. Which.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate your transparency. You agree that this is probably.
I spent 9 months at there, so.
Well, you've had a lot that goes off the part of the current, but there's a use happening currently.
Well, I'm trying to train people.
But the thing you're describing is terrible, is a discussion that we had in the prior food application discussion, where we were suggesting that the flow of traffic is not great, the egress is not safe, there's a
Well,
lot
I
of
think
things
about
about.
a lot of things slows down, dumpsters and demolition, I mean, there's been a lot of activity.
Right.
Okay. If this lot fills. With third party.
I mean, the alternative is twofold. One is there is the public on-street parking. Secondarily, there is the public parking that is off-street in front of the mobile station where there is what, a dozen to 15 spaces, which at any given time have 2 or 3 empty spaces. I mean, I was just there at dinner time tonight to have dinner, and we drove over there, and it was there were 5 empty spaces at 5 o'clock. So
the weekends there.
understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
We had this discussion, you, John, the applicant said that people don't want to park somewhere else to go to the gym. So you advocated strongly that you want parking adjacent to the property for people attending. So that's a concept, Mike, but it's not the way the auto community lives.
No, except, I mean, I would consider that adjacent enough that somebody walking from that parking spot to the gym is not a significant walk.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Also talked
yeah.
about being across the street as
Right.
being adjacent enough for the gym.
Right.
That was not acceptable.
There are other uses that require less parking, like a storage use, for instance.
Yeah, that's an ancillary use. So I can't keep them.
It could certainly be an ancillary use.
Well, we shouldn't have a need storage. So that's what I'm saying is, I like a hair cutter, I can't use a hair cutter because they're not ancillary. I can't use it for storage because none of those things need storage. So I'm kind of boxed in on a space I can't rent.
Because you don't have enough parking, or you don't have enough parking,
Well,
and it will have an impact. And it might already have an impact, because I think when we looked at this, we were using code data, code recommendations that I think are, that might underestimate, Is there, what is the occupancy, what is the capacity of the gym?
I can tell you, these guys have 15 businesses. And, I'm the one to go on in Warwick. And I don't see more than 15 cars in any given time. I mean, you'll get a little peak rush, like when the high school gets out, like the kids will drive over there and work out, so you get a little more crowd in there. But overall, they have never, I don't think exceed 15 people in gym at any time.
Is there a scenario where we assess usage of this gym opened without the ancillary space, and then have this looked at again after we see how the first proposed use is impacting your parking and its completeness?
We can look at that, but again, I'm just trying to understand that. We're having a struggle over not enough parking, so if someone wants to rent a building, you can't rent it because you don't have any parking. So that would be,
Yeah.
So these buildings just sit vacant because there's not.
Vacant, we're not asking you to leave it vacant. You already have an approved project.
Right.
You can open it and you can operate it according to the approval you have. What you're asking for is to increase the approval, and you're asked to increase the approval is also coming with you sharing that this is an extremely crowded and challenging location to bring the number of customers you want to bring to the rental uses you've chosen.
No, the problem is really the sharing of all other businesses that we need to buy.
That's a
very
factor, but I would imagine that
Operational.
I would imagine that you're going to, and I would imagine that your customers are going to use up your lot, so they're probably also concerned. They wouldn't have signs that say, "Don't use my lot unless you're coming to my laundromat," if they weren't concerned with the same thing.
Right.
So it's already a challenge. It's already a challenge. It's approved for a use that we felt like even afforded excess capacity, which is why we advocated strongly for some green space to beautify across the street when the green space on the north was removed, was requested to be removed. And because of that trade-off, keep in mind, you could have not had the parking across on the north and you would have still had the same parking problem. You added spaces there, which took away spaces to the south. And now you're asking for an additional intensity of the use. And looking at the data and considering that makes me want to say, and this is what I'm saying, is I believe we should allow this to open up and to see what usage looks like there before we approve additional usage that actually exceeds what is, the requirement of the code, which I think is an underestimation. The requirement of the code, you said it was, you said that gyms, if we look at the data, gyms require more than what's in our code.
Possibly. I mean, I would have to look at data, but yeah.
So, and just, this isn't a vote, I'm just
But-
saying,
Do bear in mind, though, that the maximum occupancy is set by the building and fire code, is set by square footage and different types of uses. It's not as specific as a gym. So the maximum occupancy is going to be a little, I don't know what classification that falls under, but it admittedly, I agree with you, it would not fall under general retail for a gym, but I'm sure it falls under some type of category that may not be specific to a gym. But that would be for the building inspector and the fire inspector to put the sign on the wall that says maximum occupancy of this facility is number of people. And that's without any exercise equipment and anything else like that too, so.
Would it be helpful to see, to refer this to our new engineer and see if he has any insight on additional, parking needs space for this space? For this, like, big studio?
meaning if he has a perspective on whether our parking calculation as driven by the code is
Right.
likely to be adequate.
Right.
It would be helpful information. I don't know if that's a step this board wants to take, but it's saying be informative.
I agree, it's interesting, but the code is the code.
So if the code is the code. And the ask was for 1,000 square foot yoga studio instead of 1,200 square foot. Then the parking washes out. And there's no. And I mean, but technically, it's a technicality, right? But it's a technicality, notwithstanding the fact that the parking is quite problematic and has been discussed ad nauseum.
It still falls to the board whether to approve the accessory use or not. Even if it meets all the criteria, you still have the discretion to some point, so. You probably have less spaces, but you still have the discretion, so. One of the, I don't want to say issues though, is in order to get the C of O for the gym to operate, the across the street needs to be made into this green space prior to the C of O being issued. He has done the landscaping on the bank side in the past week and but he was waiting across the street just because he wanted to talk to you first. So I don't want to put words in his mouth, but that's what was relayed to me. So.
I don't know that, I don't have anything to talk about parking across the street, plans that approve this.
Yeah, I mean, in the interest of moving this forward, I think the board is in agreement on that and, the question is really now to approve it and the 1,200 square foot accessory use or 1,000 square foot accessory use or not approve it at all because it required add too many trips and make the site unsafe or not work well. I think, if we want more data, we can refer to the engineer, or we can just, set the public hearing and see if the public has any input. But, we're not gonna make that determination tonight.
Last thing I'll say in fairness to you, the applicant, is that I've never seen 11 people in the liquor store. So there's fungibility to what's happening. It's not big numbers. But it's just fungibility to what's
It's,
happening.
it's.
And I agree with
peak uses,
And I
and no
hate
one
parking.
down there has peak, similar peak hours.
Mhm.
Okay. And the older girl has had a studio here in town, and it didn't work out to have. So she's like, I met her, she was very enthusiastic, I really. liked
Okay, so, well. I think, for now, I get a motion to classify the application as type 2 under seeker.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And could we also set the public hearing for November 18th?
Yep.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I just check, Mike, do you agree that if, no parking spaces are increased, this does not need to go to the county planning board? That was my interpretation of the. rule.
That is correct.
Yeah, at this time, I don't want to refer this to the Ulster County Planning Board. I would consider referring it to just, our engineer for brief inquiry to see if he has any
Yeah, it's
thoughts or insight.
for the county, it's reuse of an existing space with no change in parking. Yep, they don't want to see it.
I will resend it to the engineer to consider and put on the parking.
Okay, do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I think that for tonight, that's all you can do. Yes.
November 18th. Yep, I'll get you the notices. Because the fourth meeting is canceled because it's election day and it's a village holiday. So.
Thanks, everybody.
So we do have one more item on the agenda, which was the zoning code updates. I'm hoping, maybe we can just do a little longer, 15 minutes or so. Does anyone have specific?
I would not have this opportunity to go through the meeting.
Okay.
Because I represent them.
Unless we have some specific questions that I see tonight, I'm going to propose that we hold on to this until the next meeting.
I think that's a good, if one thing I could ask you guys to do is look at the Schedule A, schedule of uses in particular, and really look across at each district as what site plan, what special use, and that's where I can really use a lot of feedback from you guys of what category you think some of those uses should be. The red ones obviously are the changes or they're new uses that weren't defined previously. So,
No, I think it's right. And we talked about it very briefly. Okay, guys. What if you gave us the homework to say by November 18th, please review these sections, this is what we'll discuss. If you could make it into like 3 chunks.
Okay.
That would be the really most
Yep.
helpful way, but then we all know what we gotta
Yep.
do, we all should be accountable to that request.
Yep.
And puts into, instead of it being free flowing, puts in some real discrete chunks.
I will do that and get it to you by next week then, or by the end of this week even.
Some sort of big picture questions, maybe we could talk about.
Why don't we just talk offline? You can call me and we'll go through it. Yeah,
That might help
yeah.
choose what.
And if there's anything you think is just like, this is wrong, should be changed, we'll just change it. It's in that free flowing stage right now. And to what was said before, there is no time frame on this, so it could be March or April before this is
We
done.
don't wanna be responsive,
Right.
we wanna move
Right.
forward.
Yeah.
Just do it in assigned, like a syllabus.
Yeah. But you guys, tonight's the prime example of the sections you struggle with. The village board doesn't know or realize that, and you guys do. And that's why the feedback from you guys is really important to me on what you think, so.
All right, so in that case, I get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Unfortunately, I can't be here on the 18th. But can I just submit written comments to the board?
Yeah, thanks.